Welcome to the Should I Watch It podcast. This episode, having consumed more than 7,500 episodes of TV from more than 250 shows. That's right, if you do the maths, it's more than 6,000 hours of watching TV. Totally disgusting. Would you please welcome your host with the square eyes, Neil. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. As he said, my name's Neil, and welcome to another episode of the Should I Watch It podcast, a show that gives you a spoiler-free look into the best shows that you may not be watching. Well, yet that is. In case you missed the last episode about the TV show American Gods, or you haven't heard an episode before, this show is designed to help you find your next TV series to watch. So when you next find yourself thinking, what should I watch? Then tune into this podcast. So here's how the show works. So each episode, what I'm going to do is run you through a TV show you mightn't have heard of, let you know what the show's all about, what my thoughts are on it, what the critics think about it, what similar shows are out there like it, and lastly, should you watch it? So tonight, we're going to be looking at the TV show Broad City. Now, I know this is in season 5. As a matter of fact, it's in its last season ever, but still, I find that most people haven't actually watched it, which is really, really frustrating. So this show has a little bit of an interesting history. So the way it actually started was two girls, Abby Jacobson and Alana Glazer, actually started doing a short skits on YouTube, and Comedy Central picked it up, and lo and behold, it's one of the more successful comedy shows ever on Comedy Central. It follows the comedic exploits of Alana and Abby and is semi-autobiographical about their real-life friendship and their attempt to, really make it in New York. Wikipedia describes it, and I'm just going to read straight off here because I thought it was beautiful. Broad City follows Alana and Abby, two Jewish women in their 20s who experience adventures of carelessness and frivolity in New York City. I love that word, frivolity, hey? Alana seeks to avoid working as much as possible while pursuing her relentless hedonism, and Abby tries to make her career as an illustrator, often getting sidetracked into Alana's schemes. And that puts it perfectly. Now, one thing to note as well, this particular show, right at the beginning, it had an executive producer come on board who you'll probably know, and that's Amy Poehler. Now, of course, Abby and Alana do actually write most of the shows and produce it all themselves, but Amy Poehler is an absolute genius. You might know her as Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation. Now, what are my thoughts about this show? Well, I absolutely love Broad City. The character chemistry is there from the first ever episode because they are real life best friends. And look, they've been doing it for a while with the web series, so it actually worked really, really well from day one. It's a very exaggerated representation of regular 20-something problems. And the funny thing is, you can actually tell it's a lot based on real life scenarios that they've had. The show does a lot of ad-lib, and I really like shows like that. Like, say you've got your Office, the Parks and Recreation, Workaholics, that type of a show where you can actually tell that the actors were ad-libbing. It's a show that really does end up very different to where it started, even though it's not strictly serialized, but the characters do grow and situations do change as the series progresses. So it is worth watching it in order, not just episodes here and there. Now, what do the critics think of this? Well, Rotten Tomatoes, 96% of all the critics absolutely love it. And they gave it an average rating of 8 out of 10. Metacritic, 75% of critics like it. And IMDb, which is your votes, the general public, is 8.3 out of 10. So you can see really the average score is about 8.5 out of 10 across all those three platforms. Now, what are some quotes about what people are saying about this on the internet? Well, Light Warrior 179 on Metacritic says, the leads' friendly chemistry bouncing off each other perfectly and the low stakes of the story makes it far more relatable than any 20-somethings big city show you've ever heard of in the past decade. Rotten Tomatoes describes it as the creators know how to nail situations and characters, while snappy editing culls the fluff and leaves only comedic gold. Another one from Rotten Tomatoes is This outgrowth of a cult hit web series is lighter, wackier, and often funnier than the version of HBO's Girls. Now, there is a lot of comparisons to the show Girls. I haven't seen much Girls myself. I did watch a season, I believe, back in the day when it first came out. And I know Girls is funny, but it's also very serious at times. This one is just hilarious the whole time. It's a little bit more slapstick, I suppose. But saying that, again, I haven't really seen Girls, so it's a little bit hard to compare the two. Another similar show that I would say is, I'd have to go with like Workaholics, but it's not as much toilet humor as Workaholics. It's a little bit more clean in parts. There is a lot of crude jokes in it though, mind you. Should you watch it? That's the main question. Absolutely, heck yes. Now, it certainly isn't for children. As I said, there is a lot of adult let's call a spade a spade. There is a lot of adult sexual content and sexual jokes, but it is very, very funny. And the last season is actually airing now. I think the season finale is coming up quite soon, or the series finale, I should say, is coming up quite soon, which is very, very sad to say goodbye to such a fantastic show. But it means if you haven't seen it before, you can binge it from season 1 all the way through to season 5. Well, that's all for today, guys. And if you like the podcast, please go to iTunes right now and subscribe. And most importantly, rate us. It does, again, as I always say, it doesn't matter if it's 5 stars or 1 star. We'd just love to get some feedback. Also, if you could give us a like on Facebook, follow us on Instagram or Twitter, however you normally communicate by social media, and I'll be chucking on all your latest TV news and updates as much as possible. Also, feel free to submit what lesser-known show or what show you want reviewed so that everyone else knows about it. So one of those shows that you've been telling people, hey, you should watch this, hey, you should watch this for ages, and you want me to review it so that you can just say, hey, listen to the podcast. Now, we'll see you again on the next episode where we are reviewing the new Netflix series Russian Doll. I know many of you have already watched it, but I still wanted to do it anyway because it's fantastic and it's not getting as many watches as probably it deserves. Thanks for listening, guys. Cheers.